What's up, boys and girls? Welcome to the program. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast will begin here in about a little bit less than 2 minutes. First half hour will be Neil McCabe, followed by AWR Hawkins, who is doing a gig on Breitbart Radio over on Sirius XM today. So if he's late coming in, Greg and I will take it. And Jared, Yanis, and John Lott in the second hour, and a classic roundtable in the third to start your Christmas week. Or vacation, anyway. We'll look at it that way. A lot of you are on vacation, so. And if it's anywhere near as cold where you are as it is where I am, well, and it likely is, and many of you are farther north than me, whoo, burr.
All right, Neil on hold.
Roger that.
He's on the phone.
All right. Yeah, he told me he would be ready for Opal next week. Your mic is live. You say hi to everybody.
Happy Sunday, everyone.
Happy Sunday. Here we are. We'll be spending a lot of time talking about that terror attack in Australia, which was all caught on video. Unbelievable. Hapless, helpless. There's so much to talk about there. And, of course, the shooting in Rhode Island. How's that gun control working out for you?
I did a fantastic job of not seeing anything newsworthy over the week.
So did I. I had my Patriot mobile phone with me. I left my other phone at home, didn't touch it. And lo and behold, that was what it was all about. I didn't find out about the shooting in Rhode Island until much longer after it happened. It was a day off, true day off.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Ooh, welcome into a blustery cold Sunday Armed American Radio. But we're inside the studio and the heat is cranking. The on-air light is on. The Monster Cast is, well, now we are well underway, but it is really cold here. So wherever you're at, I may be farther south than you, but it's cold here, believe you me. Welcome in. We're cranking right along here today, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are. Kahr Firearms Group Studios lit up. And the CZ mic is fired up for you. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association and all of our great sponsors and partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. We are live for you over on Facebook, facebook.com/Armed American Radio. The fact that I'm sitting here means I did not hit the $1 billion lottery last night. Greg, how are you in Dallas, brother?
Yeah, same for me. I didn't hit it either. So.
Well, I kind of figured, or you probably wouldn't have answered the phone. It would have been a panic. Nobody would have called me. Nobody would have said anything. We'd have had to run an encore. Where's Greg? Well, he's down at the bank getting ready to transfer you $100 million. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Let's run an encore today, right? Yeah, we can do that for sure. There's a lot of wild stuff going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen. I'll let Greg get his stuff out of the way, some little bit of business where you can watch the program, participate in the chat, and all that fun stuff. And we'll get cracking with our first guest, Neil McCabe.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, if you'd like to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
So I heated up a cup of coffee and walked.
Gross.
Well, I like coffee, but I walked over to the studio.
I can't reheat coffee, though.
This was in a pot that was made earlier today. I didn't have time. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just put it in a cup and reheat it. And here I am. And I walked out here, and by the time I got in here, it's already in this like Yeti thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already just warm. So we'll have to chuck this down really quick. Let's go to our first guest, Neil McCabe. Neil McCabe, reporter McCabe. And I love saying this. It's so good to have you back. From redstate.com. From redstate.com, Neil McCabe is losing his Boston accent. Neil, welcome home, brother. It's so great to have you here.
Listen, Mark, if I won the $1 billion lottery, I would dial in.
You know, I would have been here too, honestly. That's true.
I probably wouldn't be dialing in from my apartment in Washington, D.C.
Well, hopefully you would have been at a Ritz somewhere, maybe in Naples, Florida, calling in saying, hey, I need your bank account numbers and your routing number because I'm transferring you $100 million, right? From maybe your
it
might
be Naples. Might not be Naples, Florida, Mark. Might be Naples, but not Naples, Florida.
It's sister city across the pond. Either way is good for me.
Exactly.
Hey, Neil, so I kind of tried yesterday to take a real day off, and Greg mentioned that during the top of the show. And I kind of did that for the first time in a long time. I had, instead of 2 phones, I had just my Patriot mobile phone. That number goes to family and friends and close business associates. If you don't have that number yet, you will. But I didn't hear about Brown. I didn't hear about, what was happening in Australia really until much later in the day. And don't you know, you try to take a break from stuff and all this stuff breaks. It never fails. It always works that way. But I want to talk a little bit about Australia. How familiar are you with that story and what happened in Australia?
Well, Australia is just, I think the first thing that struck me was that, my dear father, was Boston Irish, and he grew up with a real sense of grievance that he had inherited from his family. But I knew nothing of the prejudice and the discrimination that he experienced, even as a young man. I mean, even when he took his first teaching job in a country town in Mendon, Massachusetts, he had to pretend like he allowed people to believe that he was a Presbyterian, not a Catholic, because he had the Mick name. And, and he'd have to listen to all the teachers making Irish jokes and things like that in the teacher's room. But that's just all like ancient history to me. You might as well be talking to me about Rome. But for Jews, Jewish Americans, and Jews around the world, this is something that is constant every day. Somebody gets the idea, I think I'm just going to kill some Jews today. And it doesn't matter where they are or what they're doing. And then you think about, there are certain countries that used to have extremely masculine cultures, and then they decided that masculinity was toxic, and part of that toxic masculinity was having firearms. There are few countries in the world that celebrated gun ownership and hunting like Australia. And we've talked about this over the years, about how they just took away all the guns. And it's happened. There have been mass shootings in the past. And basically what they're saying is you have an obligation to be a victim, even if people know that you're part of a group that's being targeted. And then I guess you just have to take it. And then when it's all over, everybody turns at me and tells me it's my fault. They turn at you and they say it's your fault. All of the disarmers who created this environment where people are obligated to be victims, they blame us for what they did, and it makes me crazy.
Yeah, and I watched the video repeatedly today, some of it in slow motion, and enhanced some of the audio and enhanced some of the video today with some really cool programs I have. And this wound up being a father-son team. Father in his 50s, son in his mid-20s. They were lawful, registered gun owners in Australia. And they were up on what looked like a concrete-type bridge off of a road. And you had people that were filming it from right away, just filming the murders. 10 minutes, and all you heard was sirens. They didn't even seem to be getting closer. And they were firing unabated. Nobody could do anything. And the police response, and, I support law enforcement, but guys, I tell you, if you haven't seen the video, watch it. You don't see anybody getting shot except for those two towards the end of the video. But it is remarkable to me when I watch the reaction from people who are filming, it's almost surreal. It's almost as if they're not watching something real. It's hard to describe. It's hard to describe. But these people are utterly defenseless. Well, the law enforcement response was, the only way I can say it is it appeared to be hapless at best. And it was very discouraging to watch. I feel bad for those people who have been disarmed by their government. And I would like to think that if something like that, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not seen the video, please go out and watch it. Definitely watch it. It's all over the place. As I said, you see the shooters for 10 minutes, just at will, and you hear sirens. Eventually, there's a police response.
In the social media culture, in the video game culture, everything, it happens here in this country. Everything becomes like a spectator event.
Yeah.
Everything becomes like, I'm going to video. The natural instinct is to ride to the sound of gunfire. You're supposed to run. You're supposed to rush and help people. And now we see it over and over again in this country too. People just keep filming. They're like, "Oh, this is fantastic," and they just keep filming. People have to remember too that the police are trained to come home at the end of the shift, and we love law enforcement. We appreciate law enforcement. Law enforcement is always putting their life is always in danger. Their badge makes them a target. But these guys are not trained to seek close combat with the enemy, right?
No, not at all.
Police officers are trained to, when the shooting starts, they put up the yellow tape and they take statements. That's the problem when they tell me, "Oh, you don't need a gun because in 15 minutes the cops will be there."
Yeah, well, in 15 minutes, 16 people were murdered. Now, we're getting ready to take a break, and when we come back, I want to touch quickly on a response from one particular individual who tackled one of these murderers and took the gun away, pointed it at him, but didn't shoot him, leaving him free to go back and pick up another gun after he took off and continue the killing, instead of putting a round right in his forehead. I don't believe that would have been the response in the United States. It's a sense of passiveness that I don't think we would have seen here in the United States. We've got one more segment with the great Neil McCabe from Boston. He's losing his accent. You'll enjoy it. Don't go away. Neil's back. Welcome back, guys. Coming to you in a couple seconds.
Oh, I see the disarm.
There you go. He should have shot him, and he didn't. Pacifism, man. It's crazy. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, we need you, ladies and gentlemen. Please do that. Please join us at nra.org/AAR. And I've been asking, just, if you can give us 1 year at $35, it would be wonderful. If you want to go 3-5, that's great. That's even better. If you want to donate in addition to that annual fee, that's great. But if not, just give us that 1 year at $35. And I had an interesting comment come in on our YouTube channel that I answered earlier today. And I'll get to that later in the show because I think it's important that I mention that. I don't have enough time to go into that now because we have such a short segment left with Mr. McCabe. But let's just say, please visit nra.org/AAR. You can find them at the website at Armed American Radio, or you can go there on your own. You put that AAR extension on it. nra.org/AAR and join us. Give us 1 year at $35 and take a look at what this organization is now doing. The Wayne LaPierre follies are over, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of you still feel that the NRA sold you out, and I get that. I understand that, and the NRA gets that too. That's why I want to talk with you about it, okay? And I'll read that comment later in the show, probably coming up in the next segment or two. Neil McCabe, welcome back, my brother. It's good to have you here. I said it's a sense of pacifist, man.
One thing,
Go ahead, please.
I'll just say this thing, and you and I have talked over and over again. We had problems with the NRA that we were very vocal about, and for years, people were saying, hey, why don't you leave those guys alone? Because everyone knew there were problems. Nobody wanted to talk about it. But this was a place where it's like, hey, we're in this community. We're going to talk about it. People need to remember that what took down the NRA for all of its problems was Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, and that lawsuit was thrown out. But the Democrats and the left, they have a thing that says the process is the punishment. And even though there was no convictions, there was no rulings or anything, everything was thrown out. But she got her pound of flesh because the Democrat, and it's like when we try to do it to them, well, then there's problems. Then it's not fair. Then it's unconstitutional. Then you're targeting. But that's how they play. The process is the punishment. And that's what they did. Their goal was to take the NRA off the field. Now, the NRA leadership, it created a situation where they were exposed and they were vulnerable, and they had everything. They got what was coming to them. But remember, it was Tish James, the Attorney General of New York, the same Tish James that went after President Trump.
Yeah, and that, ladies and gentlemen, that management team is out. This is a fresh team. Okay, so please give them another look. It's worth it. Spend the $35. It's a 1 year membership. We could use the assistance, believe me. Now, Neil, I say pacifist. It's almost like these disarmed societies are brainwashed and trained to be pacifists. You've got a Muslim terror attack well underway, being filmed, and I guarantee you somebody filming it sadly was thinking, oh, this is going to go viral, as people are being killed on the beach. Coincidentally, the name of the beach in Australia is Bondi Beach. And you had another Muslim individual who took this one shooter down and stripped his rifle from him, pointed it at him, but didn't use it. The guy got away, apparently, and went back and picked up another rifle from his son. I'm not sure which one was the father or the son. It really doesn't make any difference. And continued the attack until both of them were eventually brought down by police gunfire. One of them survived. The other expired on the scene, which is a good thing. One of them should have never been back up there at all, because now I do believe in the United States that individual who attacked that terrorist would likely have shot and killed him, unlike there. And I think that's just a difference in mentality. This is a disarmed populace in Australia now. It was very sad to see. I'll give you a final word on that. Go ahead.
Australia, their culture has been transformed. And that's what Obama and his crew were trying to do here. And frankly, there's a lot of places, I'm not sure in Massachusetts, they might not have taken them down either, And so, in Texas, and Kennesaw, Georgia, they would have been taken down. You know, there are some places in America that are still America, and that's what the fight is now.
Yeah, they're actively murdering people. You don't let him go. You kill him. This is a fight, and this guy was in it. He put himself in it, finished the fight. And unfortunately for him, when he chose to get involved, he needed to, after he offed him, he should have gone up on the bridge. I mean, it was just his time. He inserted himself, and he didn't do that, which was interesting. So, needless to say. Hey, I do have a political question for you that I wanted to ask you. Trump just recently pardoned Tina Peters, the older woman out west.
Colorado.
Colorado, out in Colorado. Thank you, Greg. And what I find interesting is the police in Colorado, they're all saying, hey, these were state deals. This was convicted by a state jury. Trump has no authority to do what he's doing. We're going to continue to do what we're doing. They wouldn't release this woman who was given, 20 plus years or whatever it was. What's the disposition here, Neil? Do you know? Just give us a quick update. I'm just curious.
Right. So Tina Peters was the elections commissioner for Mesa County, Colorado. And after the 2020 election, she brought in some technical people and some other volunteers, and they wanted to look at the voting machines. These are after the votes were cast. This is after the votes were counted. She wanted to do a post-election audit, and she wanted to look at the voting machines because it did not seem right to her. And they charged her with tampering with the voting machines, even though this was like, say, a month after the election, as if an elections commissioner is not allowed to look at voting machines. And so she's 70 years old. They gave her 7 years. She's battling cancer. Her husband died while she was incarcerated and going through this problem. And she lost her son about 5 years ago. Her son was a Navy SEAL who was killed at an air show in a tragic accident. And so she's suffered a lot. And she doesn't have her husband. She doesn't have her son. But she has her integrity. She has her love of country. And she wanted to make sure things were right. And there's a lot of people. I'm not prepared to say all the people who encouraged her, but there are some very significant political people. I'm not talking about Trump or the Trump campaign, but there are other people who, senior people in the Republican Party, who encouraged her to move forward and to were with her when some of this stuff was happening. Those people abandoned her. When she went to trial, her defense wanted to bring up their other people sort of encouraging her. They were told they couldn't up those other names. They basically railroaded her. It's state charges. She is incarcerated in Colorado, and the presidential pardon is a federal instrument which has no bearing, at least in conventional thought. There's no bearing, but it's obviously very symbolic. It's obviously very powerful. And there is a theory that when someone is working on an election, even though they might be a county or a state official, they're acting as an agent of the federal government. And so to the extent that she was an agent of the federal government inspecting those machines, Colorado didn't have jurisdiction. I know there are lawyers who are working on this, and the point would be to say Colorado had no right to prosecute her for her role in a federal election. Yeah. And this is where it stands now. She's going to spend another Christmas in prison, and we want her out.
Neil, can you stay on the line with me for a few minutes as we come into this next segment? Sure. All right, stay on the line with us. We'll see if we can bring Neil back because AWR is on Breitbart. If he doesn't come back, we'll go in. Oh, AWR is on hold. Okay, Neil, stay with us. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Neil. Hey guys, how you doing? We're going to keep the sausage mics open for you here a little bit and see if we can do that during some of the breaks. Be back with AWR Hawkins here in under a minute. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're keeping warm. Getting ready for a nice Christmas. What day is Christmas this year? I haven't even looked.
I think it's a Wednesday-Thursday combination. Here we are.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Good old Andy Hoosier, KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker. We love Andy Hoosier. He'll be here with us tomorrow. I have some fun stuff to talk with Andy about to kick off your work week. As well, hopefully you're taking a couple weeks off around Christmas time. We're starting to see that effect around here a little bit, and I hope you are. Either way, Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, will be with us tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you to please go out of your way to support all of our businesses, partners, sponsors over at Armed American Radio. You still have time to shop over there. Pick up some goat guns. Visit budsgunshop.com. Get you a new holster from Crossbreed Holsters. Start looking into some of the great guns over at CZ, Kahr Arms, etc. And it's all there for you at armedamericanradio.com or .org. We got you covered. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. He's been busy on the radio today over at Sirius XM, and now he's joining us here. AWR Hawkins from Breitbart. How you doing, brother? Good to have you here. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I know you've been busy.
Good to be with you, Mark.
So I'm going to guess you probably spoke a little bit about what happened at Brown in Rhode Island and what happened in Australia, which is having that conversation with Neil McCabe. I want your thoughts on what happened in Australia. The video is unbelievable, and I'm sure you've probably seen the video in its entirety. You know it was a Muslim terror attack, and you know another Muslim individual took this guy down, grabbed his gun, for whatever reason, didn't kill the killer, allowing him to go back and pick up more guns and keep killing. I don't know that would have happened in the United States, but I really want to get your opinion on all of this because you can tie it together, and you've already written about it. Take it away, brother. It's yours.
Well, it's like you and I talked about so many times. What gun control ultimately does is it means that when a terrorist or a criminal, and I'm not equating those two, I'm saying a terrorist or criminal, when they get their hands on a gun, they're king for a day, because what gun control ultimately does is it makes sure their targets can't shoot back. And so what we would have had in America, let's say they'd done this on Galveston Beach in Texas, or they had done this on a beach in Alabama or Mississippi, or they had done this on a beach in Florida or South Carolina. What we would have had is the individual would have no doubt still been able to kill a couple of people, no doubt, because he has the element of surprise, but somebody would have retrieved a gun. If somebody like me had been there, where I keep at all times, either a lever action with a red dot on it, a Henry, or I keep a Daniel Defense AR-15, one of those two at all times in my truck, plus the gun I would have had on my hip. There will be people like me in those states. And as I say, this individual would have probably still killed a few people, but he would have suffered greatly after that because it wouldn't have just been one individual like me. It would have been numerous individuals like me. But in Australia, it's not that way, because in 1996, after that Port Arthur massacre, they take in between 700,000 and 1 million guns. They don't take them in because they go, can you please give them to us? They take them in because they say, if you don't give them to us, in other words, it's a mandate. You have to turn them in.
Yeah, you'll be
they
jailed.
Turn them in. It's a forced buyback, and then they're destroyed. CNN reported, and I quoted it, CNN reported 1 million guns approximately were destroyed. 1 million. And so that's 1 million guns, some of which people could have fought back with today. Or, yesterday evening. But they didn't get to do that because of the laws in Australia. And in addition to the buybacks, they had more in-depth background checks added, gun registration requirements, gun licensing requirements, on and on and on we can go. This is going to keep everybody safe. Don't worry. You're going to be safe. I guess you are safe unless you're on the beach and two Islamists come out and just open fire on you because they know you can't shoot back. And so, folks, this is your wake-up call. If for some reason right now in 2025 you're still asleep, shake it off. Go out tomorrow, buy you an AR-15, become proficient with it, buy you a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, become proficient with it, and wherever you go, that handgun goes. Now, my rule is wherever I go, the handgun and the rifle go. But some people don't want to go that way, and I'm not going to push you. At least wherever you go, that handgun goes. And if I'm you, I am carrying an extra mag or keeping one close in the truck in case I need that extra mag. But, folks, if you haven't figured it out yet, it's not fun and games. It's life and death, and you have to be prepared to defend your life.
Yeah, I'm like you on that. I have a Daniel Defense M4A1 in my vehicle as well, and it is ready to roll. I also have a handgun or two, one on my person, maybe another one in the vehicle as well. I go nowhere unarmed. And when you see things like this can happen on American streets, ladies and gentlemen. They're planning for that. Our government is aware of that. And if the government's aware of it and the government is planning for it, the question is, why aren't you? Because your government is not going to keep you safe. When it hits the fan, you will be the first responder. I do want to get your thoughts on the individual who took him down, took the rifle, and then did not finish the job. After making the decision to insert himself into a life and death situation, which was a very dangerous thing that he did and very brave, that he didn't finish the job. And it's my understanding that the individual, when he was let go and did not get put down like an animal that he is, or was, depending on which one of the two it was, went back into the fight because they had multiple guns. And when his son was taken down, is what I believe I heard, he picked up another rifle and continued firing. These people were in it to die. And I also understand that the law enforcement that was present at the time, which was a very hapless response in my estimation, having watched it repeatedly, was firing back and took them down with handguns. And I heard as much as revolvers as well. So I'm not sure of that. But the whole thing was a mess. And I think it's kind of a redundant question maybe, because you did address that if this had happened on an American beach, particularly down south. It probably wouldn't have gone down that way over that amount of time. But I'm curious as to why you think he didn't. Is that a cultural issue now because they've become such pacifists because of the gun control? Now, keep in mind, this guy also, they said his guns were legally registered to him in Australia, so you can still purchase them. There's that, but let's face facts.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Was religion at play there? A common religion? Is it a common this, a common that? I don't know that, so I don't want to even venture a guess. But what I will say, if you're listening to this and you think I'm listening because I want to learn something, I'm going to tell you this. If someone is shooting people and you take their gun away, well, then you don't give them a coupon for a Happy Meal and tell them to have a good day. You kill them, and you kill them hard, and you kill them quick, and because you're saving your own life and you're saving the lives of those innocents. And you have to remember that individual, as soon as he decides, you read John Locke and his Treatise of Government, as soon as that individual sets his mind to take your life, he is at war with you. And he is at war with the rest of mankind. In my opinion, as soon as he crosses that line, he's a dog, and it's time for him to go down. And guess what? I've said it a million times. It's no hyperbole. I'll say it right now. Kill him, and after you kill him, just break out that pimento cheese sandwich and a glass of tea. Sit there and eat it when the police come. Because I know the states I live in, when the police roll up, they're going to say, "Hey, bud, you got an extra sandwich?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I ate both of them while I was waiting for you."
Maybe a Vegemite sandwich down there, right?
There's the dog right there. And I'm just telling you, you can't tolerate it. There has to be, I don't know if I've ever even told you this, Mark. We've talked so many times over the last 15 years, it's unreal, but I had a pastor friend in an Reformed Episcopalian church. And when I say those two words, Reformed Episcopalian, no one's anticipating what I'm going to say. But he used to tell me, he'd go, "Son, always preserve the spirit of belligerence." And I'd say, "What do you mean?" And he'd say, "You'll know. Always preserve the spirit of belligerence, because sometime when you react and it's a righteous cause, you almost have to overreact.
Interesting. We're AWR, let me stop you there because we're getting ready to take a break. I want to revisit that when we come back. That's interesting. And you, in all of the years we've known each other and done lots of personal things and hundreds of thousands of conversations. I've not heard that before. That's interesting. AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. We've got him for one more segment, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to warn you, as I always do, buckle in. The breaks are flying. The segments are flying. The 3 hours will be gone in the blink of an eye. So stick around with us. We'll be back on the flip side, 4 minutes from the break, right after this with AWR Hawkins. Don't go away. So Greg is telling us about some reports out there that I'm not ready to talk about on the air today because we can't confirm any of it, and I don't want to spit internet stuff out. But it definitely is worth looking into, and I have a feeling, Greg, that a story like that will more than likely break if it's legit. Someone will pick it up pretty quickly, at least in mainstream media, and then we can do what we do with mainstream media and pick it apart.
Watching these guys shoot, though, they seem to be trained.
Yeah, it's an incredible video, and the more you watch it, the more you'll see. There's from what I've seen, there's 3 other videos. You did have some people that got close after law enforcement arrived and tried to stomp on their heads and all that kind of crap, but it's after the fact. But it's very curious to me why this individual did not shoot him immediately when he had the rifle taken away from him. An individual who was in the process of actively murdering innocent people is mind-boggling to me. By the way, I like pimento cheese. I have some in the house. I might have to have a pimento cheese sandwich when I'm done on air today, Greg.
Not a fan.
Oh, I like pimento cheese, especially the ones with the jalapenos. Yeah, it's good.
30.
I did make some clam chowder today, but and I make good clam chowder, but everything is a disappointment because I've had the clam chowder up at the River House in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and it is absolutely, bar none, the best I've ever had. And that's from living in Connecticut and up there for a while.
Those two are both textured foods that I just don't like.
Yeah, I made a good batch, but I'm comparing everything now to the River House, and there is none, including my own. This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching the program on your television sets or devices, this is my Attorneys on Retainer card, and I would highly recommend that you have this in your wallet. I understand the prices will be going up. Now, here's the deal. If you join for the $35 a month, we're going to save you the $50 when you use it, attorneysonretainer.us. And when you join, use that AAR promo code over there, attorneysonretainer.us. Use that AAR code. We're going to save you $50 on the sign-up fee. It's $35 a month. And you'll lock that price in until 2030. And the price is going to go up in just about 2 weeks. Not a lot, but it will go up. You can lock it in at $35. How much more no-brainer do you need, okay? Attorneysonretainer.us. Put that card in your wallet and be prepared. If you carry a gun, you know bad things can happen. And the last thing you need is an attorney up you costing you a fortune. $35 a month, attorneysonretainer.us. And when I say attorney up you, I'm talking about a prosecutor that's trying to lock you away from your family and wreck your life and destroy everything you've built for simply defending yourself. Make sure to check that out, attorneysonretainer.us. You can find them and all of our great partners, all of our great sponsors, all of them at armedamericanradio.com. You still have time to get some Christmas shopping done, so please do that and support us. We appreciate it greatly. AWR Hawkins, welcome back. You got me thinking. I do have some pimento cheese in the house. I think I'm going to have a pimento cheese sandwich when we get off the air today. So thanks for that reminder.
All right.
I go back to this. I do not understand the mindset. I just don't understand the mindset of the guy who didn't shoot the guy. I'm sorry to go back to that. I want to go back to what your pastor said. But honestly, I can't wrap my head around that. I've watched that video countless times. It just baffles me that he didn't off him. And I think it's a pacifist thing that happens in a disarmed society. Even in a situation under those conditions where this man is actively engaged in murdering innocent people, there's got to be something going on. If I shoot him, I've been taught that I can't do that and that I might go to jail here. I hope that's not the case. I'll probably never know, but I think I could be right on that one. Anyway, go back to that belligerence. I think that was an interesting comment. Go for that.
Well, yeah. Well, I was thinking during the break, if you look, this is how far Christianity in America has fallen. If you'll think about it, the Puritans were leading up to the American Revolution. What do? They fly flags that say no king but King Jesus. And they fight to the death under that flag. But see, you look at the church today, and when I say that, I mean by and large evangelicalism. Mm-hmm. What do they say? God is love. I forgive you. I turn the other cheek. We get along. We get along. I forgive you for killing my kid. I forgive you for... no, see, the way it works is I like the Puritan way a little better. No king but King Jesus. You best get ready because it's coming. And that's how you defeat the British. That's how you drive those redcoats out. That's how you make them cry. And some of them don't even get to cry because they're dead. And that's how you do it. And when you come in my house, well, I'm not going to talk to you about how much I love you. I forgive you for coming in here to hurt me. I'm going to kill you. And after I kill you, with a very clean conscience, I am going to eat that pimento cheese sandwich. And if I don't have that, I will eat a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Either way, when the officer shows up or the deputy, I'll be wiping my mouth off, drinking a little bit of tea. I'll be, hey, sir, how you doing? Like, you see the football game? We're going to have that kind of conversation. I'll have no guilt over your death, none. I'll just know my family is safe because you were dumb enough to come in my house. And that's how that works. And if it's at a Walmart or it's at a gas station, it'll all be the same. I'll just sit in my car and maybe I've got some crackers I can snack on. I'll be eating those. I'll go in and get me an energy drink between the time I kill you and the time the sheriff shows up. And when he gets there, I'll say, hey, here's what happened. This dude tried to hurt my family. Mm-hmm. And he'll say, we'll put him in a body bag. You have a good night. Mm-hmm. That's how it's supposed to work. And that is how the church should be working in this country. Again, going back to the Puritans and going to the spirit of belligerence. You are to show gentleness, and you are to show love, and you are to listen before you speak. And we can keep going. All these things you need to do and you need to work on doing. But when the threat arises, You have to have it in yourself to rise up against that threat. And that's what the Puritans did, and that's what the spirit of belligerence is about.
Ladies and gentlemen, ask yourself what your enemy is going to do. Your enemy is wanting to kill you. This is life and death that we're talking about here. And what happened in Australia, and watch that video, you'll see exactly what we're talking about. AWR, let's move over to Brown University. Your headline says the attacker yelled something, then opened fire. Do you have any more details? Obviously, there's been an arrest. They've had one person that one of the murdered was identified. I don't know anything about the killer at this point. However, that person is in custody from what we understand. Do you know what, can you tell us anything about what, other than what's been in mainstream media and what, other than what you've written about, has there been any more news on this that you know of?
No, because they're really slow rolling this morning.
They really are, and that's a red flag for me, and that's why we really can't say a whole lot, but you're right about that. Go ahead. Just wanted to throw that in.
But they're slow rolling it, as you know, that Police Chief Perez keeps saying, I don't want to jeopardize investigation. So I'm not disrespecting him, but he is slow rolling it. But the things they have said, like, this is what's really eating at me. They said that building's exterior doors were unlocked, but you had to have a badge to get in the classroom. So it makes me think you had to be able to swipe something or whatever. So how did this individual manage to get in that classroom? What were his ties? Who did he know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got 1,000 questions floating in my head. And then, as you say, he goes in there. The professor who wasn't there, her teaching assistant told her that this individual came in and screamed something and then opened fire. And the teaching assistant, in his own words, said the same thing. Yeah, he screamed blankety blank. No one said they couldn't make out what it was, and then he opens fire. Well, that's going to be very revealing when we finally figure out what that was. And he used a handgun, so Gabby Giffords doesn't get her wish. She had already pushed gun control before she knew the facts, as usual.
Yep.
And
she's right on cue.
So you're not going to, your quote unquote assault weapons ban wouldn't have stopped this, Mark. This dude had not only a semi-automatic pistol, this really hurts the gun control movement. He had a revolver. Mm-hmm. What gun control? Are they going to push revolver gun control now, Mark? No.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the university's gun-free. University's gun-free zone, correct?
Well, sure it is, because it's in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm. So
Rhode Island, according to Everytown for Gun Safety, has the 13th most stringent gun laws in the country. Rhode Island is a poster child for Everytown for Gun Safety.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. We're getting ready to end the hour, AWR, so we'll cut it there. We're going to continue to follow your work on this, because I know you'll get out there very quickly with this. But you're right, they're slow rolling this, and usually when that happens, that raises a red flag to me. My feathers go up for sure. Your spidey senses begin to tingle. Why? It's generally an identity thing. We don't know yet, ladies and gentlemen. We'll report it as soon as we do. We will likely know more tomorrow by the time we air on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Thank you, man. Get back to your family. You've been all over national radio on Sirius XM and now the nation's airwaves here on terrestrial radio. We thank you for everything that you do. Ladies and gentlemen, AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Just search that, and you'll find everything he writes in consecutive order from the latest story all the way on down. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Thank you again, AWR. We appreciate it. And when we come back, we're going to have the next hour split between Dr. John Lott and Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets, and all of it is going to be interesting, all of it, particularly with the news that broke over these two stories we were just talking about that wasn't on the slate when we first made the schedule up. Stick around. We'll be back at 6 minutes after the hour on the flip side. Don't go away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back here in under 2 minutes. Jared Yanis is on hold with us at the Salem Radio Network from Guns and Gadgets. And at the top of this hour, I'm going to ask you to vote for both Jared and myself. We have 2 more days left today, what's left of today, and all day tomorrow to vote for both Jared and I over for the Gundies, the Gundy Awards, Gundies, thegundies.com. We'll hit that live when we come right back. And then we have quite a bit to talk about with Jared in a half hour. It's gonna move right along, guys. It just is. I could not find my MyPillow slippers. I would have had them on right now. Instead, I look like a dork with these white socks on.
This time of year, mine stay visible because they're nice and warm.
They are really comfortable this time of year. I have to hit that when we come back because that is a great purchase. My wife's got 3 pairs of those things, 3 different kinds. Loves every one of them. Switches them out like I do watches. And they work. Did you just give me a 30? Yep, you did.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
I think I got all the right buttons pushed here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to push the wrong button here and cut my mic off. Welcome in. If you're joining us just now, welcome to the broadcast. Hour 2 is underway as we speak. Hour 1 is in the tank, a great hour. We got to speak with Neil McCabe from redstate.com, redstate.com. We love his Boston accent. He is back home where he belongs after a 1-year-plus hiatus. So we welcome Neil Young. I almost said Neil Young again. What was I thinking? Neil Young. I haven't listened to him in years, liberal goof. Anyway, Neil McCabe is back with us from redstate.com. And, of course, we just had a half hour with the great AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. We're here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios with you. Mark Walters in front of this very powerful CZ microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Every minute of it being brought to you by the National Rifle Association and all of our great sponsors. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Take your pick. Greg, we are freezing here in northern Georgia, and that's okay. We're not freezing in the studio. We're actually quite toasty. So I'm going to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch us live over on facebook.com/armedamericanradio. And just don't do that while you're driving. Greg, take it away from there. We'll get cracking with Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets. A lot to talk about in 2 short segments.
Sure, other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Boom, that will bring you in. Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets. How you doing, my brother?
Good, buddy. How you been?
I'm doing great. It's always fun to have you on the program. It's going to cook right along, as you know. Greg, every time we get off the air, he texts me, he says, man, that flew by. It just flew by, and it just does. It whips right by. Jared, before we get cracking, I got to ask you about, spent a lot of time talking with AWR Hawkins about the video, what we saw with the terror attack in Australia, and there's just a lot going on with that. I've picked that video apart, stopped it, moved it, enhanced it, including audio. I'm shocked at what I saw, a takedown of a guy actively involved in murdering people who had the gun taken away from him by a very brave individual who did not kill the guy and allowed him to get back in the fight. I mean, you want to tell me what you saw there? And why? It's a mentality thing, I think. I think it's a pacifist thing. Let's take everybody's guns, threaten them, law-abiding people, with criminal charges. And that has to have something to do with it, psychology there. Maybe I'm wrong. I would love your thoughts.
I agree 100%. I think the
you can only put yourself in their spot off of what you see. It's like battered dog syndrome. But that proud, brave citizen probably thought that had he ended the attack with that guy's gun, that he probably would have went to prison, because those guns are bad, and only bad guys can get those. So he was probably unsure of what he could do, and you can tell the way he reacted in the immediate that he was unsure of what to do next. Chase the guy, beat him down, shoot him with his gun, stop the attack, however, but he chose to do none of it.
You're right, and if you watch it, and you do, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to watch the video, you're not seeing any victims being killed. You're seeing the actual shooters themselves, and you do see them both get taken down by police gunfire eventually. But, you see him take the gun, and then he backs up. He backs away from him. He's the one with the gun. It was a very interesting, clearly a psychological dynamic in play, and I think we're right about that. Jared, before we get cracking again, too, let's let people know that they can everybody can vote for you and I. We've only got what's left of today and tomorrow over at thegundys.com, right? So let's go ahead and toot our horn. Ladies and gentlemen, you can vote for Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets, in the King of the Hill category at thegundys.com, Gundies. You can vote twice or 3 times if you want to share the post. You'll see it when you get in there. Make sure to vote for him in King of the Hill category. Make sure to vote for me, Armed American Radio. You'll see Armed American Radio logo and Guns and Gadgets, not our individual names. You'll see our company logos over there at thegundys.com. Please do that. We need your votes. Voting closes tomorrow, so this is it. All right? Did I miss anything there? I think I got it in, right?
Yeah, you got it, man. Just thank you to everybody for your consideration.
Yeah, we appreciate it so much. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now let's go to Brown. How'd that gun control work out? That gun-free zone, yet again, Jared, here we go again.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. And then the information that is coming out just doesn't make sense about the person of interest and his military background. If you dig into that, the unit he was with, they say he's sniper qualified in the Army, but the unit he was with does ceremonial stuff, and they shouldn't have gotten a spot in sniper school. It's usually a deployable unit. So there's a lot of stuff that's, I'm sure, going to come out. And, you would think that a person with that type of history of weapons and being a firearms instructor, that the weapon of choice wouldn't have been the weapon of choice here. So Correct. A lot of questions with this one as well.
All right, you obviously know a little bit more than I do on this. What can you tell us about the shooter? Do you know more? AWR and I were a little bit in the dark on that, and we use the phrase that they seem to be slow walking this, and you and I both know that when investigators begin slow walking this, it's because for whatever reason they don't want out yet. Our feathers go up, right? Who is the person? What kind of name? What's their gender? All this pops up when they slow walk this stuff. What can you tell us about him? You seem to know a little bit more than we do. Take it away if you can.
Yeah, so it doesn't appear, at least assuming this is the shooter, right? It doesn't appear that he fits a typical narrative. I can read you this. His last name was Erickson, first name Benjamin, out of Wisconsin, 24 years old, served as an infantry soldier in the U.S. Army, where he passed sniper training, had experience with firearms instruction, and served as a rifleman between 21 and 24. Erickson also received a Good Conduct Medal, participated in security duties near the president, and assisted with funeral ceremonies at Arlington. A spokesperson for the U.S. Army has said that Erickson had no deployments and left last year with the rank of specialist. Brown University did not immediately respond with two questions about Erickson's record. So we're still learning more. He was taken into custody not too long ago at a hotel, which is about 17 miles from Brown. So we'll learn more, I guess, but we don't know much. Not a lot of information came out right away, and I'm sure a lot of that is to try to set up a perimeter and try to track the person down as fast as possible without tipping people. But that's what we know as of right now, and I'm sure it's fluid, so it'll change as the night goes along.
Yeah, and again, he was popped at 3:15 in the morning in this hotel, about 17 miles away, ladies and gentlemen. They copped him in the middle of the night. So I was unaware of his name. And you're right about that. As I hear you talk, if you and I were just sitting in a room having this conversation, my question to you would be, why do you think somebody with those credentials, if that's accurate, was not armed with a rifle?
Yeah. Something's definitely off. And, I tend not to believe the first 24 to 48 hours anyway. It's usually people throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. So we'll see what happens. I'm the type of person I like to see evidence and read reports and stuff. So we'll see as things unfold here.
All right, I want to get to this quickly because I want to spend some time with you on a case out of Utah, an open carry case at the No Kings rally, which is very fascinating to me when it gets to the open carry stuff. It's always a fun conversation to have. But ATF, you're reporting now the ATF e-form, and you had a great video up, came out 3 days ago, ladies and gentlemen, Guns and Gadgets at YouTube. Tell us what's going on with that, because the NFA is involved, the silencers, with suppressors, okay, the $200 tax stamp. You took a deep dive into this. Where are we now? This is very unusual.
Sure. So most people who are willing to take part of the NFA process are looking forward to January 1st when the tax goes from $200 to zero for short-barreled firearms and suppressors. Well, ATF announced 3 days ago that on midnight, December 26th, and for the rest of the year, e-forms is going down. It will go dark. You will not be able to utilize the portal. Part of that is to let them update the system and also to clear out the backlog. So if you are a person who wants to get a can or something now before the rush starts January 1st, this is the time to do it. I still say this whole process is unconstitutional and illegal, but if you are looking to get an item, now is the time to do it before the mass of people waiting for the first of the year take part in the system. My guess is that the federal government, everything they put their hands on, they usually screw up. So I don't think it'll go off smooth. I think it'll be a backlog, and there'll be a little bit of a wait come the first of the year. But we'll see what happens. But as of the 26th, it's done.
You don't think the ATF will be efficient in this? Are you kidding me? I'm going to try to be the eternal optimist here and think that with the ATF bringing this down, that there's some planning going on, that maybe they will be. But again, I want to point out too, before this goes down, you're going to have to be willing to pay the $200 right now, ladies and gentlemen, okay, which goes bye-bye on January 1. So keep that in mind. And to many of us out there, many of you out there, it may be worthwhile to do that. I think you said in the video, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about a 3-day wait right now for approval. And ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we'll double check this with Jared. But if everything works the way it's supposed to work, we could be down to a same instantaneous deal like they are with the Knicks check. We'll talk with Jared about that when we come back. Armed American Radio's MonsterCast, Hour 2 is well underway. Don't go away. Guys, we're getting ready at the end of this segment to be halfway done with the show. It's flying right along. Buckle down, folks. Buckle down. We'll be back with Jared right after this break. I know you hate this, but ladies and gentlemen, Greg doesn't like when I do this. But I am going to pop one of those Celsius, Greg.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's okay. I'm going to nurse it. I'm not going to drink the whole thing. I don't know. We'll see. If I do, that means I'll have a set of headphones on an incredibly comfortable, humongous sofa that I have. Ginormous thing that is incredible. But I'll be sitting there with a PRS guitar and headphones on, probably playing until about 3 o'clock in the morning before I fall asleep, because I already watched Landman. Probably shouldn't have done that. Be right with you guys. Actually, I think I'm going to go with this ginormous sugar-free Red Bull, not as much caffeine. And when I say ginormous, ladies and gentlemen, I mean ginormous. This thing's not for the faint of heart, but it's half the caffeine of one of those Celsius gigs. Welcome back, guys. Coming back to you here in a second. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show. We're going to get cracking right away. You already know that I want you to join the National Rifle Association, ladies and gentlemen. Please do that. It's real simple. Just give us the 1 year, $35. All we're asking for. nra.org/AAR. The water is warm and we need you in this fight. Please partake with us, won't you please? It's, I told you I was joking last week. If you have to, raid the kids' piggy bank jars, okay? You've been putting money in there for years. You can take $35 out. Wait till they go to school or something. Ooh, maybe they're on break now, so yeah. Well, wait till they get off break. Take advantage of it. nra.org/AAR, and you can find all of our great sponsors and partners, of course, at armedamericanradio.com or .org. We got them covered for you. Let's go back to Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets. Welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group studios with me. You're on the CZ mic at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Jared, welcome back, brother. I'll give you the final word. Are you ready to move on? Let's go to this thing in Utah. Let's do this. Let's go to this case in Utah. This is fascinating to me.
Sure.
All right.
So, No Kings rally, right?
Mm-hmm. That was back in June.
Yep.
Okay.
Back in June, famous for a shooting that happened there. I'll run it as much as I can in the time we have left. A gentleman attended the No Kings rally. He was 24 years old. And Utah is an open carry, constitutional carry state. He was carrying a backpack, walked behind a fenced area, was there about a minute and a half. He took his AR-15 style rifle out of his backpack, unloaded, with the intent to open carry at this rally so he could exercise his First and his Second Amendments. As he is walking back from this fenced area to the street where the protest was taking place, an armed volunteer public safety person, security guy for the area, for the rally, notices him, flags down another one. When the other one shows up at the scene, they both draw their pistols and fire. One man fires 3 shots at the gentleman holding the AR-15. He struck twice, once in the hand, second time in the hip area, and the third round misses this gentleman and kills an innocent bystander at the rally. What came out in the court case was that this not only was this person who was open carrying this rifle didn't have it loaded, he'd made no gestures at all, threatening in any manner. He was just going to open carry. He just found out last week that he was not going to be charged, even though he was jailed for 6 days as the initial investigation took place, literally for doing nothing wrong other than maybe a poor thought process of where to take your gun out of your backpack. But the one person who was doing security who unfortunately fired upon him and took the life of another was charged this past week with some crimes. So I want to hear what you think about this one, because I hear a lot about people wanting to open carry, and this is one of those areas where it divides our community.
It does divide our community, and Utah is a very gun-friendly state, as you know. Utah's had open carry for quite some time. It is not unusual, ladies and gentlemen, to see open carry. Guns are prevalent in the state of Utah. Been there many, many times. Jared, you and I were just together there in September, okay? So, yeah, here's the deal. This kid did absolutely nothing wrong, and I think you're right. I think his choice of going behind the fence to take the gun out, maybe, we're playing Monday morning quarterback here, okay? He could have done that when he exited his vehicle. He was well within the law to do that. Now, you spent 24 years in law enforcement. My question to you on this, because he didn't do anything wrong. They were, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, going to charge him with the murder of the individual who the armed security shot. So this was very serious business, very serious business. And it was a great place to mention attorneys on retainer, too, when you did that in the video, and I applaud that, because it is a real, true, living example of why it's so important, because these things can happen. But as 24-year ex-law enforcement officer, what was the response of the officer or security, the armed security, who both drew down on him and firing? which appears to be immediately, because you also have the video up. Ladies and gentlemen, you can watch this at Guns and Gadgets. Okay, I highly recommend you do so. So you don't just take our word for it. Go watch the video that Jared has attached to this. You can see this unfold. Were they right?
Well, are they right in drawing their weapon because they might be in fear of shooting happening? Yeah, absolutely. When you're faced with a potentially deadly threat, you can respond accordingly. However, you still, in law enforcement, we need to, we have to discern in a moment's notice, is this an actual threat? You have an open carry state. It's normal in that area, and these people, I don't know their personal training, but they weren't police. So they just opened fire. There isn't really an articulable fact that they could say from the angles of the videos that I've seen where they could say that this man posed a threat, and that's why ultimately he was, let go without being charged. It's tough, man. You just can't shoot somebody. You have to make sure that your life is in danger.
I don't know that there's any evidence. I couldn't hear anything. Did they tell him to drop the weapon? It did not appear so, because this unfolded rapidly. So it doesn't appear to me that we drop the weapon, get on the ground, none of that, which he obviously would have more than likely complied as a law-abiding citizen who was just exercising his open carry rights. And frankly, I would think that both law enforcement and trained armed security would know this in Utah, which is a very gun-friendly state and a long-time open carry state as well. So clearly the charge, and I think you'll agree with me that the charge is justified, right?
Yeah, and it's a tough spot, I feel, for the guy who did pull the trigger, too, because in his mind, he probably thinks, I'm stopping a potential issue here, and I'm going to defend my flock. So it's a tough spot, and it just goes to show how you will be picked apart after the fact when, God forbid you ever have to defend yourself or your loved ones. You can survive the moment in front of you, the fight in front of you in the immediate, but you'll still have to survive the fight in the courtrooms. So, you have to be prepared for that stuff, because it's going to be something that's going to be talked about forever. Who made the right choice? Was it him or was it me? Or, was it smart to take a gun out of a backpack and then sling it or whatever? Is it smart to respond immediately and end the potential threat that you see as a threat? There's all kinds of issues here at play, and it's a fluid issue, and it's one that I hope none of our listeners are ever faced with.
Yeah, no, guys, that when you open carry, and I open carry frequently, but it is something that you have to be very, very, very careful with, depending on the area where you're at. And again, you got to go back and watch the video, because I can hear his defense right now. I can hear the security guy's defense. I can hear. This is not a slam dunk case, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. All right, he is going to have a defense here, and you know what it's going to be. You know this from law enforcement. It's going to be standing in his shoes at that split second. And what was going through his head. We saw this guy move behind a fence with a backpack. He comes out, and he's armed. You can hear that defense. Jared, we're getting ready to call it. The time flies by. It always does, brother. Thank you for being here. And I do want to say this. Carrie-Anna Claire called me during the break, and she wanted me to tell you she loves you. Thanks for being on the show, and she can't wait to talk to you soon and see you soon. So I just wanted to let you know that. Jared, where can people find you, brother?
YouTube, Guns and Gadgets, Twitter for things that are newsworthy but not long enough for video.
And get this, ladies and gentlemen, thegundys.com. Vote for Jared at King of the Hill in the category. And you can vote for me in Top Voices of the 2A category, Jared, we love you. Thanks for being here and taking time out of your weekend. We appreciate it so much. We'll have you back on soon. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues with Dr. John Lott for 2 segments. Never enough time with John, but we'll make it work. We'll be back right after the break, guys. Thank you, Jared. Guys, Dr. John Lott will be here in about 2 minutes. We're getting him on the line right now. Always great information from John.
Right on hold.
Roger that. Mike's live.
$30.
10-4. Yeah, I'm going to be playing that PRS guitar till about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Kahr Firearms Group studios are lit up on a blustery cold evening here in North Georgia. Great to have you here. CZ Mike fired up, on-air light is cooking. NRA is bringing you the whole show here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. We appreciate that. All of our great sponsors can be found at armedamericanradio.com or .org. And I want to thank Jared Yanis for being here. He's so much fun. Between him and Cam Edwards, we should make that a 3-hour show with those two guys. A tremendous amount of information, and we thank him so much for taking time out of his schedule. He has become a fan favorite on this show rapidly. And another one joining us right now, Dr. John Lott. John, welcome to the program. We're going to get right to you. Half hour is never long enough. We're going to get in what we can. John, I got to take you to Australia first. I'm going to assume you saw the 10-minute video and the takedown of the guy who had the rifle taken away and was not shot and was able to get back in the fight. Gun control, Australia. We've talked about it together for years. I really want to get your take on this. How do you break down what happened at Bondi Beach in Australia yesterday?
Right. Well, it looks like it took about 13 minutes for the police to arrive, at least according to ChatGPT, the timeline that's there. And it may have taken a couple more minutes for them to stop the individual. There's some news articles, at least a witness or two that are claiming that even when the police arrived, they didn't instantly get involved in stopping the individual there. But, you know, you have the same type of issue, whether you're dealing with the Australia attack or you're dealing with the shooting at Brown University, also on Saturday. And that is, you know, you have these gun-free zones. You have areas where they think that they're making people safer by going and banning guns. And, you know, police are extremely important, but the police themselves virtually always arrive on the crime scene after the crimes occurred. A lot can happen in 13 minutes in these cases, and or even 10 minutes or even 6 minutes. Obviously, we had, I guess it's up to 15 people killed now in Australia. And we have something like 40 that were injured. It's possible that the death toll could end up going higher. But, you know, here you have some Islamic fanatics who hated Jews. And, you know, this isn't the only attack like that. Obviously, the worst mass public shooting that I know, if you just compare Western Europe and the United States, occurred in the end of 2015 in Paris at the concert where Islamic individuals end up killing 130 people there. You know, it's more than twice the worst mass public shooting that we've had in the United States. And France obviously has extremely strict gun control laws. They completely banned semi-automatic guns. And these attacks, this attack that occurred in Australia didn't involve semi-automatic guns. You could see, I saw one video where the person was with a bolt-action rifle, was reloading it, putting another bullet in the chamber after each shot that he had fired. So, I mean, the question becomes, what are you going to do to stop these attacks? But they're not unique to the United States, despite what people claim. In fact, the United States is way down the list. We're not even in the top 60 in terms of per capita rates of mass public shootings or fatalities from those attacks. It just, I wish that somebody at Brown or somebody in Israel when they had the terrorist attacks there, or somebody in Australia had been able to go and protect themselves and others.
John, this was all caught on tape, and you're right, it was about 13 minutes. In the law enforcement response, I'm not one to knock law enforcement, but it seemed very hapless to me because I went back and I analyzed the tape back and forth and timed it out and enhanced some things, and just a lot of what unfolded. I just don't see that happening the way it unfolded there, if that were to happen here, not during that amount of time, particularly when somebody got to involve themselves very bravely, I might add, involved themselves and took one of the guys down and took his gun, and then failed to act after he had the gun and shoot the individual who was actively involved in murdering innocent people on that beach. To me, it seems like since 1996 in Australia that there's some pacifist, it's just what they're told, that he might get in trouble.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a lot of statistical malpractice there in Australia. I mean, you and I have gone through that multiple times. What they do is they just compare the before and after firearm homicide or firearm suicide rates that are there. The problem that you have with that is that simple before and after averages can be very misleading. So, for example, if you had a line that was falling over the entire period of time, a perfectly straight line, you could pick any point along that line, and the after average is going to be below the before average. But if it's falling at exactly the same rate before and after, the confiscation there or some other type of law, you look at it and say it's not obvious that it had any impact. In fact, if you look at this, it was falling for 15 years prior to the confiscation, and then it basically stopped falling for about 8 years. I look at that, and I think it's actually, if anything, had a counterproductive thing, but it surely didn't go and accomplish what you wanted. You'd go and see, does it fall faster or slower? Is there some type of discontinuity in the line when the law goes into effect that you're looking at? The fact that it fell at a slower rate afterwards than it was before would indicate to me it was counterproductive. And with regard to suicides, I would hope one would look at total suicides. You and I have talked about many times when they've had gun bans that even if firearm suicides fall, total suicides don't. In this case, in Australia, total suicides actually went up. Now, I'm not going to go and claim that the gun confiscation caused total suicides to rise afterwards, but it sure as heck didn't cause it to fall. And, so I look at those things, and obviously it's kind of an article of faith. I've testified before the Australian Senate, federal Senate down there about their gun control laws, but people in the media, not just there, but in the United States, just keep on reporting this before and after numbers, and, it's just very misleading.
John, what do you expect to see happen? Because apparently these were legally owned guns in their possession. And let's talk post-confiscation Australia. How would you expect, with everything that you've testified there in their government, how do you expect that they'll respond to this? Could we see another wave of confiscation? What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I would probably expect that. I mean, they're different than the United States. I mean, you had basically the conservative parties were in office in 96 and 97 when they did the first confiscation. And I think, unfortunately, the reaction across the political spectrum will be the same, that it will... I don't know. Are they going to ban bolt-action rifles now?
Don't be shocked.
I suppose anything's possible, or at least increase the licensing rules and make it even more difficult for people to get bolt-action rifles. I mean, obviously, you have something like 55 people that were shot there with not involving semi-automatic guns.
13 minutes of time, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter what you're using. You'd think at some point in time, the government is going to understand. Well, we're out of time here. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with John. I want to talk about Brown and then a piece that John has up on Real Clear Politics, because it all ties together, befittingly so. Dr. John Lott, back with us here right after the break. Don't go away.
If you
Mickey DeWine, I see your text there, brother. I think you meant balmy, not blustery. That's because Mickey's coming to us from Ohio, where it's maybe the chill here is balmy if you're in Ohio. But it is nasty and blustery and cold here for sure. Let's just see what Siri has to say, shall we? Hey, Siri, what's the temperature outside? 22 degrees. I'm not sure that's balmy. Maybe it is if you're negative something, but 22 is cold with the wind. And it is going to continue to fall. Then again, it is wintertime. It does happen.
Yeah, the internet definitely thinks the Bondi shooting is a false flag.
Yeah, I'm not willing to go there. Guys, we're going to be back at you here in about 2 minutes. Guys, back at you here in 20 seconds. If you own a firearm, you know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back. You can do that. It's real easy to do. Attorneysonretainer.us, attorneysonretainer.us. Use that promo code AAR. Take advantage of the $50 off, $35 a month, and guess what? You've got an attorney in your hip pocket. Here again, if you're watching the show, please don't do that while you're driving, please. Here's the Attorneys on Retainer card. I've got one. My son has one. My wife has one. And my daughter has one because we all carry guns. We all have an attorney. You can too. Don't be stupid. Get it done. Get it for yourself for Christmas. That's simple. And please visit all of our great partners, including Bud's Gun Shop and GoatGuns.com. You got plenty of time to get great gifts from those locations. Crossbreed Holsters got you covered if you're going to buy a new gun, and there's some good ones, some new ones out there right now. We'll talk with Justin Moon about some of his new releases coming up soon, but I've got a couple new ones from Kahr that are fantastic, and I am awaiting my Crossbreed Holsters now. You can do the same thing. Heaven's Harvest got your emergency food supplies covered. Patriot Supply has you covered for all of your stuff. I use it on my shoulder every day. I was just telling Greg during the break, it's killing me. I'm going to put some more on during the next break. I won't do it while we're live. Welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group Studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom here in front of the CZ mic. And again, it's all brought to you by the NRA here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. And by the way, you can pick up a phone from them for yourself for Christmas as well, too, or move a line over and all that cool stuff and support the businesses that support these conversations and our rights. We're talking with Dr. John Lott, crimeresearch.org. You can support him over there. Get on his mail list. All this great information you hear John talk about on the program every week, it's all right there for you at crimeresearch.org. John, welcome back. Let's go to Brown. And I hate to be cynical here, but I don't know of any other way to approach it. But how's the gun-free zone, gun control working for you at Brown? It only impacts law-abiding citizens. And we can kind of take that into your piece over at Politico. Or, excuse me, where were we at over there? Or at, I said Politico. Where was that? That's at Real Clear Politics. Sorry about that. It's over at Real Clear Politics. And you have a piece up Wall Street Journal's fear-mongering doesn't survive contact with evidence about legally armed citizens. So this kind of all ties together. Take us to Brown, what we know about it. Are you shocked by any of it? And let's kind of segue over to your Real Clear Politics piece.
Right. Well, I mean, Brown was another gun-free zone. We don't know yet about the motive. Apparently, he went in and did the attack in a class that was being taught by Jewish professors, so it could be that there was some connection there, just like in Australia, but we have no idea exactly what was going on there. But, you know, here we have a gun-free zone in a state, Rhode Island, that has very strict gun control laws, which is surrounded by Massachusetts and Connecticut, which also have, you know, assault weapons bans and magazine bans and all sorts of things, large capacity magazine bans, red flag laws, all those different things that are there. But, you know, the thing with the Wall Street Journal article, they've had a series of articles now, I guess about 4 articles, and all of them either authored or co-authored by this guy named Mark Marymount. This last one that they had this past Monday went through, since 2022, had 4 cases where a civilian using a gun to stop a crime had accidentally shot a bystander. 2 of them were people that apparently were legally carrying concealed handguns in public. A third was an employee at a convenience store, so she didn't need to have a permit to be able to carry on company property there. And a fourth in California apparently didn't have a concealed carry permit, so was probably carrying illegally. And the implication is that, boy, these are really horrible stories. people carrying guns will go and accidentally shoot bystanders, so maybe we shouldn't let people carry guns. And they have quotes about from gun control people about constitutional carry, concern about when untrained or panic shooters miss their target. But none of these cases involve constitutional carry. And in any case, there's like no perspective. I mean, 4 cases, it'd be great if it was 0. But if you're talking about 4 cases over 4 years, and not even all of them, only 2 of them involve people who are legally carrying a gun in public, you have to take into account we have like 1.6 million or so defensive gun uses a year. We have 21 million concealed carry permit holders, plus 29 constitutional carry states where it's not even necessary to have a permit. This is like nothing. And what we've done at our website, people can go check this out, but what we did was we decided to go and look at cases over the last decade, from 2016 through virtual law 2025, and just find how many cases there were involving civilians legally carrying a gun in public that accidentally shot a bystander. And we found 4 of those cases. One of them involves a security guard, so I don't even know if you even want to go and include him in there. If you exclude the security guard, permit holders accidentally shot 3 bystanders, 2 of them killed, 1 wounded over those 10 years. But again, the question is, what's the alternative? So I looked to see about police accidentally shooting bystanders. And there are 20 cases involving a total of 28 bystanders shot. So, that's a lot more, 3 versus 28. Even if, without the security guard in there, you're talking about 7 times more likely to have a bystander accidentally shot by a police officer than civilians. And of course, you and I have talked about our research on the FBI's active shooting data, and from 2014 through 2024, and the results there are similar. What we found there is that civilians were much less likely to go and accidentally shoot a bystander than police, and they were much less likely to get killed than police were, and they stopped more of the attacks than police did. And of course, in that, I try to make clear that police who are in uniform have an incredibly difficult job because they're in uniform, and that gives the attackers real tactical advantages.
John, we only have 30 seconds, sadly, but I remember a number of years ago, my wife and I met you for breakfast down at Kennesaw and watched you give a talk at a classroom in Kennesaw State University. And since that time period, Kennesaw State University, the state of Georgia, has allowed campus carry. My son goes to Kennesaw. He is legal to carry a firearm, even in the classroom. And I am glad that we have that law. Now, everything unfolds differently, but I would much rather know that there are people who can defend themselves than people who cannot. And that's one of the huge differences with campus carry laws and other. And by the way, we've had none of those incidents, ladies and gentlemen, that the left likes to point to since campus carry has passed in the state of Georgia. Dr. Lott, thank you for being here. I'm so sorry time gets away from us. It always does, but I appreciate you being here and taking time out of your busy schedule. We appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, please support John at crimeresearch.org. All of this information is available for you. All of his research is available for you at the website, crimeresearch.org. And you can help John. You can support him. I toss $50 a month. Greg gives money every month. You can do the same thing. Support him. All of this information. We need to get the truth out there. The mainstream media will never cover it. So help us and help John. And find all of our great sponsors and partners at armedamericanradio.com. Please do so. We would appreciate it. Classic Armed American Radio Roundtable coming up with Brad, Justin, and Ryan right after the break.
You just
All right, boys and girls. Let me pull that text off for you. Maximum relief. 2,000 milligram, 10% emu oil, some arnica and menthol, and CBD. And this stuff going right on my shoulder. Right now. Do it live, because I got to. Great stuff, guys. Make sure to check this stuff out. It works for me until I can get myself to an orthopedic and probably get me a cortisone shot, which I don't want to do because it tends not to work for me that well. But I know I'm going to have to get me an x-ray at some point. Hopefully not an MRI, but I already know what the problem is. I'm just have to get it taken care of. But anyway, this stuff works, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. It's the real deal. Use it every day. Ordered the big one this go around. Make sure to check it out. Patriots Relief. I said Patriot Supply. It's Patriots Relief. Did I say supply? I probably did. PatriotsRelief.com. Use the promo code AAR. Get a good discount over there. I think it's like 40% off. Great gift for yourself, I can tell you that much. Got some aches and pains? Works anywhere. Getting older is not for the faint of heart. Coming back with the roundtable crew, Ryan, Whiskey Brad, and Justin Moon. And we will be talking about these same topics and get some great perspective from these guys. And whatever else we can fit in. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, a little bit less than 2 minutes. Looks like we've got everybody but Ryan Petty. Ryan's out in, I believe, in California, in Commie Land. He'll be calling in today.
$20.
No, make it 30. Okay, you didn't make it 30. He's always so right on the clock, guys. It's because it's what he does. It's who he is.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Kahr Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, welcome to the broadcast. Hour 3 is now underway. The first 2 hours are in the tank. You're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios with me. If you're rejoining the broadcast, welcome back. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom on a Sunday on hundreds of radio stations across the nation. We appreciate you being here. And to all of our great affiliates and partners and sponsors around the country, thank each and every one of you. You can visit them all at armedamericanradio.com and still get your Christmas shopping done. Greg in Dallas, I do want to point out while we're here in front of this CZ mic at the Patriot Mobile Command Center that it is a perfect day to be wearing the MyPillow slippers, brother. Do you have yours on in Dallas down there in Tejas?
Absolutely. You
do,
nice
huh?
and nice and cold here, so I got to have the slippers on.
Yeah, I made a comment in a previous segment that I couldn't find them, and I can't. So I got these goofy white socks on, and my kid's always laughing at me,
Yeah.
But yeah, and I can't find my MyPillow slippers, and I need to get them, guys. Visit mypillow.com. It's a perfect time of the year to be getting those things. They are super comfortable. My wife's got a whole slew of those things, and they work, ladies and gentlemen. They're super, super comfortable. In fact, I wear them with jeans. I've been to Walmart in my MyPillow slippers, Greg. What does that make me?
Oh yeah, easy. I've done that.
Makes me a Walmart shopper, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
MyPillow slippers. The only thing I was missing was my pajamas. You see that in Walmart, though.
Yeah.
People in pajamas and Walmart slippers. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Be cozy, right? Just be comfy cozy. Now there's a push to make sure people don't dress like that when they get on airplanes, but I digress. Okay, so do we have the whole crew? We got everybody here?
Everybody but Ryan.
Okay, well, Ryan's out in California right now. They might do things a little differently out there. He's notified me that he's going to be calling in. He won't be on his studio equipment, so we'll wait until Ryan gets in. In the meantime, I can tell you that we are live on Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. If you want to watch the program there, you can do it. And just don't do it while you're driving, please. Don't be one of those people. Let the left do stupid stuff. You're smarter than that. You know better. And, Greg, I'll let you tell people where to go and watch the rest of the program and get in on that chat if they want to, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. Other places, like if you're Ryan Petty and you're out there listening to the show, you can watch it over at YouTube or Rumble. Just search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can also head on over to X. We are at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com also. Hit that menu icon and select your watch live or listen live option. And I guess lastly, if you want to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Boom, pow, zam. That'll do it. Let's go to Whiskey Brad Premo, combat vet, former law enforcement, longtime contributor to the program. We love you, Brad. Welcome in. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing good. We have a lot to talk about today. Are you getting ready for Christmas?
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite time of the year, to be honest with you. So I'm definitely primed and ready.
Well, and you got kids, and it is a great time of year too. It is a fun time of the year. There's no doubt about it. I do have to ask you this before we go to Justin. See, I love it. Now, I don't know about you, but let's do this live again. Let's just do this. Hey, Siri, what's the temperature? Let's try that again. Hey, Siri, what's the temperature? I guess change the inflection. It is 21 degrees here. Now, you're a little bit north of me. What's the temperature up there? I'm just curious. It's just...
16.
Okay. All right. Well, I love to barbecue in this weather. I do. The smoker smokes better. The neighborhood smells better. I don't mind barbecuing in cold weather. Do you kick it off at this time of year as well? I love cooking at this time of year.
Oh yeah. Yeah, nothing stops me. I mean, I've fired up the grill in the snow. If I make up my mind I'm going to barbecue something, then it's going to happen one way or the other. I mean, I guess maybe a tornado would probably stop me, but
no, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Nope. I was just going to tell you a number of years ago, and it's been probably close to about 10 to 12 years. I was barbecuing like a redneck in my driveway. Had my garage door open and had some chairs sitting out in the garage when it was clean before my wife and kids start dumping stuff in there, And I was out there barbecuing like crazy, had some fun, had the radio going. It was Saturday. Crappy day, tornado, funnel cloud come right over the house. Jim Cantori was 2 miles from my house about 3 hours later from the Weather Channel for all the destruction and damage, and I got a new roof out of the deal. But I sat there and barbecued when that funnel come right over the house. So, yeah, I'm a redneck, and I admit it completely. Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms. We're in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. How you doing, Justin?
Doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me, man.
Justin, are you a redneck? You like to barbecue, cook in cold, crappy weather like I do?
I barbecue once in a while, but I'm not like you. Not as dedicated as you are, Mark.
Yeah, I'm going to call it a disease, Justin. It is. Now, you're up in PA, and you're up in a beautiful place up in Greeley, up in the mountains. It's got to be cold up there. Did you get any snow today?
No, we got about 4 inches last night, and it's cold. It's like 11 degrees right now outside, so it's definitely frigid.
Well, isn't that funny? 19 here, 16 there, 11 there. Guys, you keep going north, and it just keeps getting colder. I got a call from Carrie Anna Clara during a break from Gun Owners Action League up in Massachusetts during the previous hour, and it was cold up there too. Guys, we have a lot to talk about. Two of the big topics today obviously have been what happened in Australia and what happened at Brown University. So, Brad, I'll start with you as we wait for Ryan to call. He'll eventually get to us, I feel certain. But, Brad, let's start with Brown and then go over to Australia, which is a very disturbing story. Both of them are. And again, I said this in the previous hour. I hate to ask a cynical question, but I have to. How's that gun control working out for you, Rhode Island? Brad?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show, I mean, really with both circumstances, both events that we're talking about, if someone makes up their mind that they're going to get violent and they want to kill people, nothing's going to, I mean, you can't, the lack of a firearm's not going to stop them, and then also the laws aren't going to stop them. They're going to go out and get a firearm if they want to use one, and they're going to use it for their purposes. Murder's already illegal. You can't make it any more illegal than it already is. Trying to ban guns or take guns away, we've all said this, we're blue in the face. I mean, the only people that's going to affect are the law-abiding, and the criminals are still going to have their guns. The madmen are still going to have their guns. And we've seen throughout history what happens when only the sociopaths and psychopaths have the weapon. They go on a rampage and kill everybody. And so, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, I hate when stuff like this happens, but the solution is not punishing the law-abiding. We have to go after the people that are breaking the laws, that are violent, that are exhibiting, you know, signs of being violent people, and actually do something about it. You know, when you have a madman, you know, I don't know if there's much you can do about that, but like the vast majority of the quote unquote gun violence in this country is perpetrated by a very small percentage of people who do it multiple times before we ever deal with them. That's where the problem is.
Yeah, and we always find out, Justin, after the fact, somebody knew something. I knew he was going to do something like this. I saw this because something, we always see this, but it's easy to Monday morning quarterback. Now, Justin, I should know the answer to this question as the host of the show, and I'm asking it because I don't know, and I should, so I apologize. Do you have campus carry in Pennsylvania, Justin? Pennsylvania's got some pretty good gun laws overall.
Pennsylvania overall is pretty good in terms of gun laws. I don't believe we have specific campus carry at this point, but if you have a carry license here in Pennsylvania, you can pretty much carry everywhere. There aren't very many gun-free zones.
You know, I was talking with Dr. Lott about this. My wife and I went to see him speak at Kennesaw State University, not far from me, a number of years ago. Georgia did not yet have campus carry at that time. And it was fun to watch because it's Kennesaw State University. Kennesaw is widely regarded as Guntown, USA. If you guys probably remember, back in 1987, Kennesaw passed that famous ordinance that every homeowner had to be armed in their house. Now, it doesn't carry the force or weight of law. It was symbolic in nature. It is still on the books to this day. And, Justin, when that law passed, and the reason they passed that law was to respond to, I believe it was Oak Park, Illinois, somewhere around there. Forgive me for not knowing the exact name. Doobie up in Illinois. If you're listening to the show, I know you're involved in the chat. Let me know if you can exactly where that was in Illinois. But it was a response, Justin, to the banning of guns in a county in Illinois back in 1987. In large measure, it was passed because there are a lot of criminal gangs coming up to Kennesaw outside of Atlanta, north of Atlanta, and they said they'd had enough. Well, when they did that, coincidentally, it was 1987, but crime and hot burglaries or armed home invasions, Justin, fell by 87%, and they have maintained those levels over the years because criminals know that everybody in Kennesaw is armed. So they said, you know what, we're going to move on. Now, we're getting ready to take a break. Justin, I want to come back to you on that, and I want to take it back over to Kennesaw State University, which was where I was going because it's a very conservative place, and I'll tell you what my son can do at Kennesaw State University, and we will juxtapose that against Brown in a gun-controlled environment up in Rhode Island. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to take a break. Hopefully we can have Ryan Petty in here. Maybe they know he's calling from the hotel and they're cutting off his lines. It is California. I don't think the government likes Armed American Radio too much. You just never know. But hopefully we can get Ryan Petty in here and get him mixed up in this conversation as well. That would be great. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast. Hour 3 is well underway. We'll be back right after the break with Justin Moon, CEO of Kahr Arms, and Whiskey Brad Premo right after this. Don't go away. Guys, I had the mic cut there for a second as we were coming to the break, but Greg, you want to make that announcement? People might like to hear that.
Ryan texted me during the show, and he's still at dinner, and he'll try to make it by the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, it's a 7:17 out there on the West Coast as we're live across the country today, so. Yeah, there's a lot of latency, and it's the Firefox deal. I don't think it's my internet. My GUIs look pretty solid just now when I checked. Let me go back and look at that. You want to compare? You want to take a look real quick? Yeah, this Firefox is locking up on me, man.
Yeah, don't use Firefox.
Golly. And I just rebooted this thing this morning, too. Shit. Well, it is what it is. For this conversation, I really don't know, but... Guys, we'll be back at you in about 2.5, 3 minutes. California. I'm thinking I probably shouldn't have just wiped my eye with that Patriots relief that I put on during the break and showed everybody.
That's possible.
Well, it's not real heavy on the menthol, but there's enough in it that it'll mess with your eyes, you know what I mean? But it didn't, so that's okay. That stuff works. I wonder what Ryan's having for dinner in California. I've had dinner with him many countless times. He eats pretty healthy. Although he tore into my fries in Salt Lake City and ate a plate of those sliders at the hotel, which were dynamite with the caramelized onions. Here's something I had last night that I haven't had in years. In fact, I had forgotten all about it. Do you remember, have you ever eat at Wendy's?
30, yes.
Hadn't been there and couldn't tell you how long. I'm sure at least a high school and college education have gone by since I've eaten at Wendy's. But for whatever reason,
been a while.
It started getting cold last night. Temperature started dropping. I thought chili would be really good. Wendy's has good chili. Then it dawned on me, ooh, they have loaded baked potatoes.
They do.
Haven't had one in years. So I ordered a loaded baked potato and a thing of
chili. 3 bites. It was full.
Well, because of the medication, yeah. But what I was talking about, you get hungry and then you can't eat that much. But the potato used to be huge.
Here we go.
It was a mini. Like, what in the world? And the price didn't reflect that. Good heavens, they're cheaping out on us.
Yep.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend
McAllister's had a great potato today.
.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show indeed. We're well underway in the third hour of Armed American Radio. We're in the midst of the classic roundtable. We were notified during the break. Ryan Petty is just wrapping up dinner out in California, and we expect to have him in at the bottom of the hour. He'll jump in the conversation. So Brad and Justin, you know that as well. As all of you listeners, welcome back to the Kahr Firearms Group Studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom here in front of this very powerful CZ microphone, busting out on hundreds of radio stations around the nation, on all of our affiliates. We love all of you. Thank you for carrying this broadcast now in our 17th year. We couldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it without Kahr. We couldn't do it without CZ. We couldn't do it without our great partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. And one of them, of course, is Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com. AAR and flip a phone over there, ladies and gentlemen, and give your money to a company that supports these conversations and this cause, your constitutional rights. They wear that mission right on their sleeve, just like I do, right here, Second Amendment, tattooed on my arm, showing you if you're watching the screen. It's the real deal. They do the same thing. They support your right to keep and bear arms as part of their corporate mission statement. And I'm so proud that my kids are going to be out at the Turning Point leaving Wednesday for Phoenix. Both my kids and my niece and my nephew are flying out there together, meeting in Arizona and spending 4 great days at Turning Point. They're going to be hanging out with Patriot Mobile, AWR Hawkins, and a whole bunch of other people. We've got them lined up with some fun stuff. So we'll report back to you how much fun they had. Maybe even bring them on the show to talk about it. I've never had my kids on the show, Greg. That would be a lot of fun to do. So we'll see, because it's going to be a huge event out there, and they're excited, they're thrilled, and we're just excited for them. Justin, let me go back to you. Kennesaw State University, as I was closing out the last segment, when my wife and I went to watch John speak, campus carry had not yet been passed in Georgia, and it was an uphill slog for us for a long time. Campus carry is tough to get passed. We were able to do it in the state, but there is some nuance there. Can't carry in the dorms, can't keep the gun in the dorms. Doesn't matter to my kid. He lives at home, drives back and forth to school, commutes. He's in his junior year right now. He's doing wonderful. But he can carry his gun in the classroom, Justin. It's legal to do. Now, I don't know about you. Of course, I know you so well. Do you have a problem with a 21-year-old carrying a firearm on his person lawfully while he's in class? Apparently none of the professors do, and none of the doomsday, all the crap that we hear from the gun, nothing ever happens. But you know what? I want to know that if my kid's in that classroom and somebody comes walking in there, that he's got a fighting chance. And you know what? He's got a fighting chance, Justin. Those kids in Rhode Island had no chance. They're at the mercy of the killer, aren't they?
You're absolutely right. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun, Mark, is a good guy with a gun. So if there are good guys with guns sitting in the class, that's exactly what you want.
You know, let's be real here, Brad. You're spot on, Justin. Let's be real. And by the way, he's carrying that Kahr ported now. I'm always having to fight my kids for those 2 guns. So, but that's what he carries that gun. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is not defenseless when he is in class, okay? Brad, I, for the life of me, cannot understand the mindset that says, no, I want my children to be defenseless on campus. I am not stupid enough to believe what you were just talking about in the previous segment, that the bad guys are going to follow the laws. Now, you already said murder's already illegal. Maybe a bigger sign when you get to campus, maybe billboards as people get closer to campus that say guns aren't allowed, criminals can't have guns here, you're safe. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. When are people going to start to realize this, Brad?
Well, you know, I mean, when they start realizing that you know, having a firearm, like you said, is how you have a chance. I mean, I think, you know, honestly, most people are not like us, as we know. Most people are also not like the crazy, you know, gun grabbers either. They're somewhere in the middle, and they probably don't think a whole lot about firearms, gun rights, where they can carry, and that sort of thing. But the one thing that does stand out in their mind is all the fear porn that gets pumped into their TVs and their phones. Yeah, from the left, that just by default, they just automatically assume that the presence of a firearm equals imminent danger. And that's the mindset that they have. They think, oh, I don't want someone carrying a gun in the class because obviously they're going to misuse it, when that's not the case at all. So in some cases, I would say it's like just getting the right information out there. But, you know, the fact of the matter is we can't really wait for that. You know, we have to push our politicians, and, you know, it really needs to come across as we're Americans. We have this right in saying that, well, you can carry a gun here, but you can't carry a gun there is unconstitutional pretty much no matter what. That's what we got to get out there.
Yeah, and you know, you're right, and I like that. First of all, the fear porn thing, I like that because it's very true. It's exactly what it is. The fear mongering is fear porn. Justin, Brad just said that, you know, the left likes to say that the presence of a firearm means imminent danger. Well, it does mean imminent danger if you're defenseless, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if somebody's got a gun and he wants to hurt you and you don't have one, you're in a serious trouble. I mean, that is a bad day.
Yeah, that is a bad day, and I'll let that stand on its own. The answer was brilliant. Justin for the win on that one. Brad, let me take you. Let's now move to Australia. Oh, good heavens. So I haven't talked to you guys before the show. Brad, let me ask you first before we get into the questions, and I'll go to Justin first, then I'll go back to you. Brad, did you happen to see the 10 to 12-minute video of the killers in Australia?
Yeah, I saw a good portion of it. I fast forward a little bit because I was kind of getting tired of watching those guys sit there and shoot at people uncontested.
Uncontested.
I was looking for the time. Yeah, I was looking for the moment when somebody actually started shooting back at those guys, and it was at the end of the video basically.
It was the end of the video, and that includes law enforcement. Justin, did you happen to see that video?
No, I didn't see the video, but I'm looking at the story. It looks pretty tragic.
It is horrible, and let me just say, you don't have to see it to know what we're going to talk about. Just trust me when I tell you, it's 13 minutes of uncontested shooting. Now, you don't see the victims, you see the shooters, because you got somebody on a cell phone who sadly was probably thinking, oh, this is going to go viral, because that's all they've got. They're defenseless. And Brad, let me go back to you, and then we'll go back to Justin. It was difficult to watch that uncontested, wasn't it, Brad? It really, truly was.
Yeah, there's so many things you can talk about. I mean, one, obviously, what if there had been armed citizens to return fire? Mm-hmm. But, even beyond that, I was watching these guys, and they're kind of on a pedestrian walkway bridge thing, and not even utilizing cover. They're just standing there, skylining themselves, shooting at people. And I'm sitting there thinking, if there was a competent police reaction to this, both of those guys would have gotten one to the melon pretty quickly.
30.
And as it turns out, when you have one heroic citizen that actually disarmed one of the terrorists, mm-hmm. there was a police officer not too far away hiding behind a car. And so, that also underlines the fact that I have a lot of negative opinions about Australians, to be honest with you. I have not had good experiences with them, and I think they talk a lot of trash about Americans. They refer to us as seppos. I'm not going to go into what that means, but they're also obsessed with our guns. If you ever get in the online forums that has Australians in it, the only thing they want to talk about is how insane we are for having guns in this country.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
It's a fetish for them.
It is interesting because we have a lot of Aussies listening to the program right now. By the way, we have a large following in Australia. They are tuned in right now. Aussies, when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation about you because you're about to get hammered with new gun laws. Whatever's left that they can do, they're going to try to do. And we'll go back to Justin Moon, and hopefully we'll have Ryan back. We'll be back. All right, guys, we're back at you right now. Bottom half of the hour. It's going to fly quick. Always does. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe to us, like us, all that fun stuff on social media.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
That would be me, and we are on the downside of the third hour of the broadcast already, cooking right along, buzzing right along, humming right along here in the Kahr Firearms Group studios. I am Mark Walters, of course, filling your prescription for freedom. Today and every day, we're talking about our right to keep and bear arms, freedom, the Constitution, and everything that means, and how much it matters to each and every one of us. From in front of the CZ microphone on hundreds of radio stations around the nation, we love that. Getting ready to come into the Christmas season. Well, we're in the Christmas season right now, so it just makes it even more fun to be here with you guys. It really does, and I appreciate each and every one of you listening across the country, and those of you that are watching the show. Please just don't do that while you're driving, please. You got your Bluetooth. You can listen to us, and we'll have the podcast up for you. And we thank you for all the thousands of downloads, and we appreciate everything. Guys, you can find all of our great partners, all of our great sponsors at armedamericanradio.com, all of them. You've still got time to do your Christmas shopping, so please get over there and visit them. Goat Guns make great gifts. My Pillow, great stuff. Get you some slippers. If it's cold out, now's the time to do it. They work. Greg's wearing them in the studio at the Network HQ in Dallas right now, to be sure. And we've got a bunch of them over here. I just couldn't find mine before the show. I made that comment earlier. But you can find mypillow.com. Use the promo code A, or just mypillow.com/AAR. Get all those great discounts. Plenty of time for you to shop. Pick up some holsters. Visit Bud's Gun Shop. Pick up some Heaven's Harvest. You know the routine. Get you a goat gun, okay? And start looking at some of those new firearm products that Kahr's got out there. We heard us talking about that X9. It's wonderful. Let's go back to Australia. And, Brad, I want to wrap up with you on that, because I share some of your sentiment there. Not more that I don't like people in Australia. I do. I love people from Australia. I've had friends there. But you're right about the obsession with America's guns. And it all started, well, it's always been there. For the most part, they're fascinated. And you had the murders in 1996. We were talking about that with John Lott and others, and AWR Hawkins earlier. And we had, of course, the mass confiscation in Australia. And it was interesting to me because these guns were legally owned by two Muslim terrorists in Australia. How'd that gun control work out for you? It does not. You've got a guy that disarmed bravely one of them who was in the midst of killing people, took the gun away from him, and did not turn the gun on him and fire, which is not what would have happened in the United States, I feel certain. I'd like your thoughts on that real quick. Why wasn't that individual stopped? I have a reason for that. I'll tell you in a second and get your opinion and Justin's as well.
Yeah,
It let him get back in the fight.
I mean,
he got back in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like as soon as he pulled the rifle away, I was like, oh, here comes the anchor shot, and he just lets the guy walk away. And I've had a lot of thoughts about that. I think one, just an unfamiliarity with firearms and how to use them. I don't think the guy knew what he was doing with it. Mm-hmm. And two, I think there was some hesitation in the idea of,
am I going to get in trouble?
Or maybe, there you go. Right. Exactly it. Am I going to get in trouble? Because then you kind of see he got real uncomfortable when he realized he was holding a rifle. And he set it down. I mean, I don't know if you remember that part, but he actually set it down after the other terrorists walked away. And that terrorist just walked over to where his buddy was, or dad's son, whichever one he was. I don't know who got disarmed, but he just walked over there and, like I said, joined the fight again. And, it just kind of baffles me. And like I said, this whole time there's a police officer armed, hiding behind a car, not more than 20 yards away. And if you look at, all this cell phone video we saw, all of those videos were shot at a range that would have been an easy shot for an AR-15.
Of course.
And so, the whole thing was and then come to find out one of those guys was known to Australian intelligence as having, ties to ISIS that they looked at. So this guy they look at as having ties to ISIS still, let him get through their system to own a gun down there. And now, look what's happened. And, this whole scenario was created by the fact that population, unfortunately, years ago allowed themselves to be completely taken over by a nanny state. Australia is a nanny state, and I know there's good folks down there and they hate it. But that doesn't happen without a majority. And it is a nanny state. Is in a lot of ways, if you look at what happened during COVID down there, like a dystopian nightmare with government surveillance and all that. It's like they were giving fines to people for being too far away from their house during COVID, and yet they still could not detect these two wackos out there getting ready to kill people. Yeah. And it shows you where they're looking. They're not looking at those people. They're looking at their own citizens.
Well, it would be racist to look in that direction, Justin. It would be racist, brother, to look in that direction. Now, I want to bounce this one off of you, Justin. My theory here is along the lines of what you just heard Brad say. When the individual disarmed the murderer who was in the act of killing and did not kill him, I believe it was a psychological thing caused by